3 years living in Slovakia, and there are still things that people do here that genuinely surprise me. And there are plenty of British things that genuinely shock Slovaks as well. Don't get me wrong, this is not a one country is better than another video or making fun out of either country. It's just about two social maps that were never drawn to match. I did a first round of this a while back, and well, I missed these. So let's cover a round two of more things Slovaks do that shock Brits and vice versa. So the first thing is indoor shoes. Now, if you're ever visiting a Slovak's home, then they're going to offer you some shoes. Well, some indoor slippers. Let's put it like this. And as a Brit, that's different. In the UK, people will walk in a house not taking their shoes off. Or if they do, there's not going to be slippers or anything for them to put on. They normally just walk straight in. They'll just be walking around in their socks. Or, like I said, they'll be wearing their shoes from outdoors inside. Now, in Slovakia, that is not a thing. When you come to a Slovak's home, they have slippers at the ready. So that's a very unique and different experience. And let me tell you, it has already affected me. Let me show you. So we're just at my front door now. So let me show you how it is for me. So as you see, you come down here, I've got plenty of indoor shoes here for any guests who want to come by. So yes, the indoor shoe or the indoor slipper is very much a thing here in Slovakia. And I've come accustomed to it now. With that in mind, the next one is about water. So in the UK, when you're asking for some water, it's an unspoken rule that it's going to be still water. There is no second guessing. There is no question to be had or anything. If you ask for water, you're getting still water. Whereas in Slovakia, it's different. If you ask for water, there's going to be a question, still or sparkling. And for a Brit, that's not something we're used to. And I think in the main, Slovaks tend to go for sparkling rather than still. And so let me tell you, there's been several times where I've been picking up water from a supermarket or whatever and not realizing that I'm picking up sparkling. And well, it was a bit of a shock to the system when I started drinking. Now, after spending time inside, let's talk about what it's like being outside the house. I mean, this is the thing that surprises Brits, that public transport in Slovakia works. You know, it's reliable. The trams, trains, buses, everything works as expected in most cases. And on top of that, it's cheap. So it's cheap and it's reliable, and you can get, of course, decent monthly passes. Compare that to the UK, where it's expensive and not so reliable, in my opinion. Then the thing that really shocks us Brits is the sheer volume of castles in Slovakia. I mean, it's been absolutely insane to me, the fact that you take a road trip and you just maybe go an hour down the road from Bratislava and you will see a countless number of castles. It's insane. And this really, really did shock me, just the sheer volume and how amazing they look. It just paints the picture of how rich in history Slovakia really is. So there's a few things about Slovaks and Slovakia that shock Brits. Now let's talk about the things that shock Slovaks about Brits and British culture. So the first one is around pharmacy items. So getting medications, for instance. In the UK, you can buy medications like ibuprofen, paracetamol, etc. from any kind of supermarket. You'll be going to Tesco and you can just walk around, you see the fruit and veg, you see the meat, you see frozen items, whatever. And there's a medication section where you can pick up ibuprofen, paracetamol, and things like this. Now, that's not a thing in Slovakia. Not in the main anyway. You might see vitamins and stuff like this, but you're probably not going to see ibuprofen, paracetamol, and stuff like this in a supermarket. Because Slovaks have dedicated pharmacies where they do this. Now, of course, there is pharmacies in the UK, but with the convenience culture I think that there is in the UK is that we can pick up, we want to be able to pick up medication from anywhere, from supermarkets, from gas stations, whatever. And in Slovakia, it's designated shops, designated pharmacies. So Slovaks can be like, so you have medication next to your toiletries section? Interesting. Now let's talk about a strange one, shall we? Carpets. And when I say carpets, I mean in the UK we could have carpets all over the house. Bedrooms, living rooms, sometimes even in bathrooms of older housing. Yeah, we looked at wooden floors and collectively decided, nah, not for me, no thanks. Which is pretty damn strange to Slovaks, because for Slovaks it tends to be hard floors. It's rarely any carpets. You'll normally get some rugs, but not carpets. The next one is around Christmas meal. So in the UK, we celebrate, we have a Christmas dinner, a Christmas lunch, and we have roast dinner, right? There'll be stuffing, there'll be roast potatoes, there'll be meats, there'll be veg, there'll be Yorkshire puddings, and of course, there'll be Christmas crackers. Now, when you tell Slovaks that, yes, we pull Christmas crackers, we put on paper hats, and we tell some pretty awful dad jokes, then they find that a bit strange, because Slovaks don't have anything like this in Slovakia. It's all about food, drink, and community, like it is in the UK, but in the UK, it's let's tell jokes and wave paper hats as well. So when mentioning this to Slovaks, they might look at you a bit funny and think you're taking the piss. But no, this is how we celebrate Christmas in the UK. And last but not least is about the public transport etiquette. So in the UK, people will be waiting patiently, they'll be waiting in line, and you slowly make your way onto the bus, onto the train, and you go for the barriers, etc. Whereas in Slovakia, it's not really like that. Public transport is where everyone's going to be sort of crowding around the various doors to get onto the bus, for instance, or the train, and there's not barriers in place. But public transport is definitely different in Slovakia in terms of when you're on buses, people tend to be quite respectful, quite quiet, not too loud, and whereas in the UK, people tend to be quite loud or can be quite loud on public transport. And, you know, everyone else be damned. For instance, if you're going to football matches, I've definitely heard a lot of people drinking beers and, you know, having a good time, but being quite loud. But that's not really a thing in Slovakia. People try to be respectful of everyone else in the public space. So in most cases, people are not too loud. They're more respectful, I think, and trying to respect other people around them and not being too loud, not being in your face. But don't get me wrong, sometimes there is people that are loud. But in general, I think the public transport etiquette is a little bit different. It's quieter in Slovakia, but maybe more chaotic, everyone just piling onto the bus. And in the UK, it's more loud, but it is queues, right? There's people lining up, and it's an orderly thing. It's like an organized event almost. So those are the things that I think that Slovaks find a bit strange about what Brits do. But I want to know, did I miss anything? Is there anything you would add? Or have you got any observations as well from your time, whether you live in Slovakia or wherever you're from? Let me know your thoughts, your experiences down below. I'd love to know what cultural observations and comparisons you've made as well. That being said, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please do leave a like. And with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.